So this is the case we're making for the resurrection piece. It was supposed to be just a basic box, glass side, so you could see the piece, but it would be kept safe. Dust, dog hair, wonderful stuff like that that tends to float around. As I built it, started to get ideas. Sort of my problem. Can't keep it simple. You can see I embellished a little bit up top. This is actually the top piece, and that will fit directly onto the base. We've already fit it a couple times. Fits very nicely. This is the base piece. Obviously I've got to do some trim work on it, finish it out. But what I wanted to do was actually create a spinning turntable, motorized, that would actually turn the resurrection piece so you could see it 360 degrees. Now, didn't know really what kind of motor to use, how to do this. Got to thinking, okay, I need a high torque but low RPM motor. Well, obvious choice, a rotisserie motor for a grill. So I went out to Lowe's, bought the rotisserie motor for 26 bucks, and I'm getting ready to get that mounted. First, I've got to build the box that will house the motor. This is the tabletop. Made that yesterday. This is actually the bottom of it. Drew it out. I've got to build a box to encase the motor. Then we'll figure out the center of the piece. We'll drill a hole down through the center of it, and that's where the drive will go from the motor up into the Lazy Susan and the table that will actually spin the piece. So, going to hit this bit by bit. Not going to show every step. That would take forever. But give you a general layout of what we're starting with, and I'll do a few little videos as we go through just to show how the process works. Alrighty, well, that's if it works. Here we go. So I've got all the pieces cut for the bottom, or supports for the base of the turntable. Went ahead, cut everything 22-degree angles. They all fit up nicely, just sort of sitting there now. What I'll go ahead and do is I will glue each seam, then I'll tape it. I'll shoot it with a brad, let it dry out, then pull the brad out, so it'll just be glue holding it together. Once it's all glued and dried, to mount it to the base plate, what I'll do is I'll put a couple of shims, supports, front, back, sides, and then I'll go ahead and screw those down into the tabletop to secure the sides. That way screws aren't coming up through the top of the table showing the screw heads. So trying to make it a little bit clean. So now I'll get to gluing and taping. So we have it all glued up. I've got the tape on it holding it together right now. Of course we use Titebond 3, most awesome glue in the world. People ask me why I use painter's tape. If I was a professional cabinet maker, then I would have the proper clamps to clamp these things together. But I don't have all the money in the world to buy them either. So the painter's tape has some stretch to it. If you attach it to one side, pull it tight, then pull it against the other piece of wood you're connecting it to, it actually forms a pretty tight grip and seal in the seams. So you can see the seam sit nice and tight together. Now what I will do is I'll go through and shoot some brads. That way make sure it stays where I want it while it's drying. Once the brads are in, then we'll set it to the side and start working on the other section. So there are the sides, still drying up. While it's drying and the glue is setting, I went ahead and cut the side pieces, pre-drilled some holes. Now what's going to happen is once the sides are dry, we'll take it. Of course I've got to attach the bottom pieces yet, but it'll sit down over top, get glued up, and the side pieces are actually going to be the ones that hold the top to the sides without having to put any holes coming up through the top of the tabletop. So that gives you a basic idea of how that's going to be held down. So we have everything screwed down. Ooh, it's a little bright out here. Went ahead, clamped the sides, screwed them down. I still have the little brads in there. I'll get those taken out once it's all dry, get it sanded down. But yeah, moved it out here so I have more space in the workshop to work. My boo, enjoying her wine,
My book.
reading a book. Puppy's running around, obsessed over the cat. She rules the roost. Then Luna in her hole. This is why I break my neck every time I try to come out to the workshop.
Oh.
Ooh, vicious. Self cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, 17 inches long. Going to make a 16-inch diameter tabletop, and that's actually going to be the piece that spins. But what I have to do first is these center pieces, I'm going to go ahead and do a recess so the Lazy Susan actually sits down inside, and the tabletop will rest only probably 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch above the base stand. So I've got to mark that out, and then I'll cross cut them and glue it all together. So I went ahead, cut the recess. Simply just took 3 center boards, cut it out right around an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. So what we'll do is we'll put them together, glue them, clamp them. When it's all done, the Lazy Susan will get mounted down in the center, somewhere like that. I don't know, be centered a little better when I do it. But then when it's turned upside down, too much sun over there, you'll see that it'll only sit a little bit above the surface of the base. Had I not cut it out, then it would have sat up about yay high if I had just attached it straight to the tabletop. So I think it'll give it a neater, cleaner look. So, alright, time to glue, tape, and then clamp. So tabletop's all taped up, haven't glued it yet. Just wanted to tell you one more time with this tape. It's been a lifesaver for me. What I'll do, I'll run the piece, one general piece across, pulling all the boards together. Then I'll run the piece going up each seam. That way when I flip it over, glue it, then clamp it, any glue that seeps out underneath, the tape will block it, will keep it from sticking to whatever I'm setting it on when I glue it. Trust me, I learned that the hard way. So, tape is your friend. It's not cheap, but it'll save your ass. Still getting ready to get mount the motor and the Lazy Susan. So what I've done is I've gone in, marked out where I need to drill down through to actually attach the Lazy Susan tabletop to the other side of the base here. There's my pilot hole. That's where the shank will go through that will fit into the motor and then into the bottom of the table to actually make it spin. So we're going to go ahead and drill those holes. Oh, these holes are actually so I can access the screws for the Lazy Susan onto the tabletop. So, yeah, to do this part. What I've got to do is make my tabletop now. The part that's actually going to spin. Like I said, I want to make that 16 inches in diameter. You can use a compass, protractor, I think. Something like that. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in school. What I do is I'll take a piece of wood. I'll put a nail for my center point. 8 inches out, I drilled a hole. What I'll do is actually nail the piece in, take my pencil wherever it went, sharpen it so it'll fit in the hole, run it around the outside to give me my 16-inch diameter, and we'll take it over to the bandsaw and cut it. Like I said, all you have to do is take your pencil, run it around, pull your nail out, There you go, 16 inch diameter, perfectly circle table. Now the trick is cutting it out as a circle on the bandsaw. Yeah, let's get a little bit dicey. I've gone ahead, cut the tabletop out. I've drilled the holes. Once again, my center. Went ahead, pre-drilled my pilot holes for the Lazy Susan. This is the base. I've done the same over here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pilot holes. Once again, these are the holes that I will be able to screw the tabletop onto the Lazy Susan through. And this is our center hole that our drive shaft will come up through. So I'm going to go ahead and get those installed. Then we'll get the motor mounted underneath and give it a shot. Well, I've gone ahead and attached the Lazy Susan to the base. I'll go ahead and rotate the screw holes around to line up with my access holes. And we'll take it, flip it over, and put it on the tabletop. Alright, so the base is sitting on top. You can see the holes for the Lazy Susan. This is one of the reasons you pre-drill it. So now we'll go ahead and get those drilled. Got my center hole for my shaft all done. What I've also done is I will have a piece of leftover scrap that I had from one of the surfboards. Went ahead, ran my 1/2 inch shaft through there. That will get glued down into the shaft like so. And that'll turn the Lazy Susan, and I'll have to square off the top of the shaft to fit into the motor. Let me get that and show that to you real quick. This is the actual motor, and you see the squared off section there. That's where the shaft will fit down into. Once it's all mounted, I'll have to put a mounting brace in. The motor will get mounted up underneath, and that's what will spin the Lazy Susan. The moment of truth is coming up soon. What I've done is I've taken the motor, I've mounted it to a bracket. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test fit it. I'm going to screw it in without gluing it yet. Obviously I've got to put the drive shaft. Here's my drive shaft. It'll get inserted down in here. I'm not going to glue that yet either. I want to test it all first. So we'll dry fit it. We'll dry fit mounting the motor. We'll give it a shot. If it works, we'll glue it all down. It's dry fitted. Here's that clearance I was talking about, wanting to keep it low profile. Tabletop, or the circular tabletop, is a tad bit bigger than the table platform, but that's okay. Wanted to fit the piece of artwork, and it's a rather large piece. Well, so here we go. Gotta reach underneath for right now where the switch is. Click the switch. There you go. A rotating display stand. Feel like I'm on QVC. Ooh, we even have squeakage for some reason. I might have to sand out that hole a little bit. That didn't sound good. That's the piece that I made it for. And I've got quite a bit of finishing work I still need to do. Some trim work, a lot of sanding, a lot of staining. I have to get the LED lights. It's going to have a upper glow and an underglow. And I also have to make the stand for the piece a little bit smaller. But once it's all done, should be pretty neat. Oh, have to put glass in too. So overall, it was fun making it. Works rather well. I think it'll be neat. It'll keep it clean, keep it safe. So